Hey everyone, this is my build in the O11 Dynamic Lamborghini edition. This is the RGB Evo, by the way. I just want to quickly mention about the case for those of you that don't know. Essentially, this is a regular RGB Evo. What they've done is they've added the screen in the back, as you can see here. This screen, as I've gone in my previous video, I've talked about, it's essentially the THOR 5-inch screen. Software is the same as well, but repackaged for Lian Li. So it's something you can easily replicate, which I have done in my other video. Now, what else have they done? They've added some colored screws. So you get screws that are yellow and black instead of just black screws. They just have a yellow plastic ring. They're kind of yellowish green. And additionally, you have some real actual carbon fiber. Now, these carbon fiber are essentially veneers. If you watch Lian Li's YouTube channel, you'll see that they cut these pieces out, they stick them on, and they do polish them. Okay, so it's actually a really nice glossy carbon fiber finish. So it's not just a wrap. So the case right now, I think it's on second batch. The first batch sold out really quickly, and then people were trying to scalp them. But now they're pretty much easily available still. I would say from a functional standpoint, the O11 is a hard case to beat, especially the Evo edition. So if you like the case, at $300, it's a bit pricey, but the screen in the back, this one here, if you buy it on Amazon, it's normally about 60 bucks, right? So 50, 60 bucks. So you take that out of the equation, you still have a $250 case. The base case is about $180, I think, $190. So you're really just paying $50 premium for the carbon fiber pieces. And, I mean, you also get tinted mirror glass, which is, I guess it's a personal preference. So it's not a bad pricing perspective from that consideration. With that said, I just want to bring up quickly some things about this build in particular. Now, in this build, I'm using the latest Bits Power Summit ES Revo. I do want to say that there are some issues with this block and Z890 and Arrow Lake, which is on Z890. This block was designed for 14th gen. So the curvature of the chip IHS is more convex on 15th gen. So while I did get good contact, looking at the paste, I could tell that it was not getting the proper contact. So what I mean by that is when I pull the block off, I notice 50% of the paste is on the block and 50% of the paste is on the chip. Now, obviously it's still spread, but it's not a good sign. But unfortunately, I didn't realize that till way too late. And how did that happen? Well, when I first tested this board on my test bench, it booted immediately. So after I built the loop, I didn't fill it yet. I noticed that I couldn't start the board. The funny thing is, I tried booting the PC when I didn't have any of the tubing in, and it booted okay. But the moment I put the tubing in, it stopped booting. So I thought, that's really strange. So I said, okay, maybe I tightened the block too tight. But keep in mind, I'm using a screwdriver where I can set the torque, okay? So I'm like, all right, so I remove the block, I put the block back on, and it boots. And then I fill the I fill the PC, and it doesn't boot again. It doesn't even start. Kind of like as if the 8-pin EPS was missing. So I thought, okay, maybe there's some kind of improper contact. I have a short somewhere. So I remove the block again, and it boots immediately. I'm like, okay, so it has to do with the block. So I thought maybe the mounting mechanism was touching something, and I noticed it's not. So I never moved the mounting mechanism. So then I said, okay, why don't I just put the block on and then, slowly tighten each bolt to see where I can get that short or, pressure to make it not start. And I couldn't replicate it anymore. So it was super strange. Now it's not doing it anymore, but I know it has to do with the block. It's not the board, because the board's out the case is reliable nonstop. Okay, so just keep in mind, if you're gonna water cool your 15th generation, we're gonna need some new cold plates. If you're gonna if you want to do it immediately, try to get a block that's fairly flat. For example, like the ROG Reunion water block, that's based off an AIO, so it's super flat at the bottom compared to some other things. So maybe like an older Heat Killer block, the Heat Killer Gen 4s are pretty flat. So I'm gonna do a test where I'm gonna take the water blocks. I have a couple CPU blocks, quite a bit, and I'll just try it and I'll see which ones perform better. That'll take some time, but eventually I'll put that up. Um, but until we have new cold plates designed specifically for this platform, you may not see the best temperatures. So the other day I had posted a video with the 360 AIO Extreme, the Ryujin, and I was getting extremely good temperatures, overclocked. That was because that cold plate is designed for this chip. So I don't know how well something else that's not will perform, but I will be testing that, so we'll find out. Couple quick notes. For those, I did post this on Reddit and I did get some questions. I'm just going to answer them here. These are the Lian Li wireless Strimmers. They come with a 90-degree on the 16-pin, which is super nice. They do require a wireless receiver, which is sold separately. So they're not in the Strimmer box. So if you buy the Strimmers, you need to buy the wireless receiver, which is, if I can reach around back. Hold on, guys. So this is the receiver. You will need this wireless receiver for the fans as well as, well, the wireless fans. I'm actually using the TL fans, but also for the Strimmer itself. The wireless Strimmer requires this receiver, and this receiver is sold separately. It does not come with the Strimmers. Keep that in mind. I think this is 20 bucks. It's about 18 euro on Case King, and they don't ship to the United States. So I actually got this from Stu from GGF Events, so thank him for sending this out, as well as the Strimmers, because Lian Li didn't have any. I think there's a production shortage or something, because they don't literally have nothing at the moment. All right, so I'm just gonna quickly talk about loop order real quick. Might be a little bit confusing, but essentially in the back I have a pump res in one of the where you would normally put the hard drive, and from there it comes out to a tube in the bottom, and then it comes out from here, this tube here, going to this rad, coming into here, coming here, and then this is coming to the GPU in, coming out the GPU out, coming into CPU in, coming into CPU out, and then from here it goes into the top radiator, and then in the back it returns to that. The rear is actually a distro that's mounting the car, and what you're seeing in terms of the orange cutout is actually the orange fluid, the coolant that's in the thing, and then that comes out and returns back into that pump res in the back. For those of you curious, that is this is a Maisto 118 scale Rovelto. So I figured the orange kind of matched, and that was the newest one, so I figured I'd mount that. I was gonna originally mount the Huracan, but then yeah, so I think the case was kind of based off of Huracan. I mean, they use that all in all the promotional videos. I mean, there's nothing really design-wise that's Lamborghini per se. But with that said, let's go into Fusion and take a look. Fusion now. I'm just going to quickly go over the build elements. It's easier to see here than on the computer. So some people have asked, is this 3D printed? The answer is no. This is actually just orange acrylic with black acrylic combined together. Reason being is, I don't think most 3D print material holds water well, and if it does, it probably doesn't have structural rigidity. All right, so now I have 3D printed O-rings before out of TPU, and that has worked, but I don't know how well that works over time, right? If that would deteriorate over time or something like that. But anyway, so the only 3D printed items on this distro, caliper distro here, is actually the 3 logo inserts. All right. Quick note, for those of you that are wondering what exactly caliper is this? Well, this is actually a mix of designs. If you look at the current Brembo calipers on the Lamborghini, they're actually completely curved all the way through here, and it kind of looks like a taco, right? I mean, it looks great on a car, but when you're drawing it out on the 3D, it just looks like a taco to me, because you don't have that kind of depth on the side as you would when it's on a wheel, right? You have that depth, but you don't have that here. So if you look at the Murcielago brakes, I'm sorry, the Murcielago brakes, they were the older Brembo style. Even the even the, I think the McLaren, Mercedes used that same brake. A lot of the cars during that time used those brakes, and they have this kind of style here, but less round. Those are kind of a squarish, and then you'd have, you know, the brake fluid line down here and up here. So I kind of went for an in between look, so it didn't look like a giant taco, in the PC, but still gave that brake caliper look. So this thing is actually a couple layers combined together. So for example, if I remove this piece, you can see that that's just covering the screws. This text was actually originally going to be an inlay. I ended up using a vinyl simply because I wanted something that would insert. I don't know. I probably will make it another piece of it with the inlay rather than having it be a vinyl sticker. These are just accent pieces. These are just welded on afterwards. All right. So just like I was saying, these logos are all inserts. And if I remove the distro plate, the cover, you will see all the runs and the O-rings, etc. Let me just hide this Lamborghini text. All right. So you can see where everything is, right? So these are the runs themselves, okay? And you can see on the back, that's where the ports are. This engraving I originally was going to make, and I decided not to make it because I felt that it wouldn't be seen, and it's not really, it's just a little too much. I just kept it smooth at the end. So let me remove this. So you can see now, guys, that these are the inserts that are part of the PC. So I'm just gonna hide these. I'm part of the distro, so. And this was another insert for the eyes on the Lamborghinis. I usually do inserts. I don't do vinyl, even though it doesn't look like it. But anyway, so here's the car, the Revelto car itself. It's sitting on essentially pegs. If I can hide the whole car assembly. In a browser. Yeah. So if I remove the car assembly, you can see that the distro has many covers here. I have pegs that come through here. I've actually redesigned this piece separately in a separate file, and the pegs come through here, and they're attached to the bottom plate, and then they run through to the mounting posts on the car model itself. The Maisto, you know, the die-cast cars, they always have mounting posts to sit on the stand, and I just reused those mounting posts. So I removed that. Ooh, hold on, I removed all of it. All right, so let me just, can you actually see the distro here? Okay, I don't have the distro. Yes, I had to redo the distro, so it's in a separate file. But you can see from here, the in and out, these are just cutouts to expose where the liquid is. So it's 3 layers. It's got the base layer, the top layer, and then this is the cover layer, which is under the car. So that pretty much sums up this portion. And you can see that I'm running, in the build, I'm running the tube from here into this grommet, and then going into so like I was saying, I have a pump res sitting right here on the back that I'm using the Bits Power CR120, which I've talked about in a previous video, and then I'm out. So just hide this. I'm outputting it back from the top here. This run over here is coming through that little hole, and then that is coming back down to the pump res that's over here. You can't see any of it because the radiator I'm using is about 40 millimeters thick plus the fan, so you get about 65 millimeters, and that covers this part and it covers this part. So it looks super sleek. You're not gonna be able to see the tubing. And that pretty much sums it up. So you can have an idea how that was pulled together. A little bit of talk about the Z890 Hero board. I did cover this board during my initial ASUS Media Kit unbox. The board, as I've said before, comes in at $700. It's same as the AM5 Hero. There's no, it has a lot of M2 support, and there's got to be a lot of videos on YouTube about it already. I'm just gonna say that from a functional perspective, it's hard to say that I wouldn't buy the Extreme over the Hero. Like, I understand. You know, people that want the Extreme decide they want the Extreme ahead of time. But if you're on the fence and you don't know if it's worth spending the extra $300, I would say that just get the Hero. The Hero offers everything the Extreme does minus the dual BIOS at this point, and the power delivery, which doesn't really matter. So, and the Thunderbolt 5, which is, I think it's not so commonly used for most folks. So the Hero is definitely the board I would go to over the Extreme if I had to choose. Obviously, I'm an Extreme fan, so I'm going to buy all of them. But if you want the Extreme, do pick it up, because that is always a limited run item. ASUS actually produces less than the calculated demand. So on Newegg right now, there's like a deal free RAM kit or something like that. But anyway, that wraps it up for this video. The next video will be testing the water blocks. So see you soon.